So Bryson, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
I'm born and raised on the island of Maui in Hawaii.
Oh wow.
Yes, sir.
What was it like growing up there?
I didn't realize how different it was from what we call the mainland until I moved out here. But I mean, very tight knit. Very tight knit.
Yeah, they don't like outsiders there, do they?
They don't like outsiders, and honestly, they don't even like each other.
What was your childhood like?
My childhood had a lot of ups and downs. I'd be lying if I said that it was the most worst childhood ever, but it was filled with a lot of trauma that has impacted me today and, kind of guided me to become the man that I am and the decisions that I've made, I grew up with a single mom. Pretty much she had me when she was 16 years old. My mom never had a problem with drugs or alcohol, but she had a problem with having an attraction to guys that were gangbanging, smoking dope, robbing houses, And
she had a problem with men.
Huh?
She had a problem with men.
Yes, she did. And that's how she met my father. They were never married or anything like that. And by the time she was pregnant, my dad was sent away, But yeah, so 16 years old, she had me. And in the beginning of my life, it was kind of rough seeing her go through the whole dating scene. Like, I do remember a lot of things, her getting beat up and shit like that, But I can honestly say she did everything to make it work, My grandparents played a big role in my life. They were there when, my mom was working 2 jobs, or when she was off and wanted to go and party at the bar and shit like that, because she was still very young. I was always sent to my grandparents, My mom eventually ended up getting pregnant when she was, I want to say, 17 going on 18 with my little sister. And, my sister Shyla was born. She was born in June of 96. Yeah, and I was born September of 94. She actually ended up separating from her father, and in the midst of her separating from my sister's father, she started dating this guy named Peter Pasigan. And my mom was working 2 jobs. She was paying for him to go to college. She was doing his schoolwork, and all she asked in return is for him to watch us and take care of the whole housing situation, clean the house, do laundry, shit like that, And little did she know that while she was dating him, he was putting us through sexual abuse. He was putting us through physical abuse, severe neglect, bringing around druggy friends that were smoking dope in the same room as me and my baby sister. And, eventually one day, I don't know exactly what it was, bro, but he snapped. My mom was at work. She told me that, when this happened, when she went to go to her second job at night, she told me that I was begging her not to go, And she said I should have seen the signs, because that's not normal, You were begging me not to go to work. And, she went to work. It was Halloween night. She was working at Jack in a Box. And I don't know what it was. He must have got a bad batch or something like that. But he fucking snapped, dude. Couldn't get my sister to stop crying. So he picked her up by her feet and repeatedly smashed her head into the wall until she was not making any noise, movements, anything. And this happened right in front of me. I was 3 years old when this happened.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do vividly. I have a pretty bad PTSD from it.
I'm sure. 3 years old is probably an age where you can probably remember something that...
Yeah. I feel like the reason why I remember it is because it had such a big impact, I'd be lying if I said I remember playing with toys and shit when I was 3,
no,
but...
that's the kind of stuff you don't really remember.
Yeah, and, before that happened, I do remember some of the things that he used to do to us. He used to make me swallow coins, and he would do that so that he could tell my mom, like, oh, you know, I caught him swallowing coins again, and then my mom would be upset at me, you know. We found out in the end, he told my mother that the reason why he killed my sister is because he couldn't stand how much she loved us, you know. So I feel like he had some sort of vengeance against us, you know, and we were just innocent little kids. He used to fill up the bathtub with scalding hot water, and he used to take me and my little sister's heads and put our heads underneath the water, and then lift us up and let us catch our breath and put our heads underneath the water, you know. And when I came out here to California, a lot of people are like, you're from Hawaii, dude, you must be a fucking surfer. And I'm like, dude, I hate the water, you know, like, never got into it, was always scared of it since
How
then.
old were you and your sister when he murdered her?
She was a year and a half, 16 months exactly.
You were 3 or something.
Yeah, and I was 3 years old, yep.
Oof.
And, you know, the neighbors ended up hearing the noises and called the police. And when the police came, he was acting shocked and told the police that I pushed my sister down the stairs, that they needed to get in contact with my mother immediately because he's so worried about my sister, and he was giving her CPR and shit. And he turned his back for 1 second, and I pushed her down the stairs because she wasn't sharing one of my toys or some shit like that, you know. And yeah, you know, they medevaced my sister to the main hospital that we have in Hawaii, which is on the island of Oahu. And I think that it happened on October 31st, and the next day she was pronounced dead, bro. She was on like some hardcore heavy-duty life preservative machines and stuff like that, but it didn't work, you know. By the time police got there, she had a fucking big ass hole in her head that was just mush. You know, it's very surprising that she wasn't dead on arrival.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was messed up, man. It was really messed up. And you know, I kind of grew like desensitized to telling the story, you know, and I'll get to that like a little bit later on in life on why I became desensitized to telling it. But, you know, like really thinking back about it and actually talking about it, like that had such a huge role on the person that I but the person that I became, you know, rebellious and stuff like that. FBI came in to do an investigation, and that's when we found out that I was being sexually assaulted as well as my sister, you know. My brain completely blocked that part out. I honestly can't tell you exactly what was going on, but they could tell that certain parts of our body had been fucked with, you know. When the FBI came in and did their investigation, they noticed that we had a 2-story apartment. So when you walked in, it was very high ceilings. I don't know how they noticed it, but they noticed that there was a crack in our ceiling. And as they investigated it closer, they seen hair stuck in the cracks. And come to find out, what he would do is he would grab us and he would throw us as hard as he could into the air so that our heads would, boom, hit the ceiling like that whenever we were crying, because then it would knock us out. You know what I mean?
And he got convicted of murdering your sister?
Yeah, so he got convicted of, I forget exactly what the charge is, but this is the worst part. I mean, he got convicted of pretty much murdering my sister, exactly that. When he got convicted and sentenced to prison, he patched up with a certain gang, and they protected him. When he went into prison, he started telling people that he murdered another guy, and that's why he was there. I don't know how they didn't check fucking paperwork or whatever, how it was back in the late 90s, but he skated through it like that. And, you know, at 6 years of him serving prison time, because he was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 20 years. After 6 years of prison time, he was viewed as like a star inmate, I guess you could say. You know, like an inmate that abided by the rules, didn't cause any problems and stuff. And they pushed for early release on good behavior. Yeah.
He got only 6 years for
Only
murder
6
of a
years
child?
serving time. So what had to happen was my mom had a lawyer, and her lawyer advised her that we go get a petition signed. So, you know, the island already is so small as it is, and, you know, God bless my mom having to relive this shit every year. But at 6 years, when they wanted to give him early release, we had to go around the island door to door and tell the story over and over and over again till we got, I believe it was 1,000 signatures. So, you know, she had to relive that, tell the story over and over again. And then now, like, everybody knows what's going on, you know? And it was just messed up. So they denied his early release. And at 9 years, it came up, and it came up for early release again. We went to petition. We did the petition, got the same amount of signatures, but they released him. So 9 years of prison time for murdering an infant.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's horrible.
It is, you know, and it's very unfortunate that the system works like that out there in Hawaii, you know?
And that's why you can talk about it so easily, because you've told the story 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yep. And, you know, it's just really unfortunate. So he had to abide by one rule. He was 86 from the state of Hawaii, not allowed back. He was to do his parole with his sister in Alaska, and he was never allowed to come back to the island. And just last year, my mom called me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." She's like, "I need you to sit down." She's fucking crying, frantic. I'm like, "What's going on?" She's all like, "Peter just got arrested on Oahu, and they called me because they gotta notify me when he gets arrested on island." She's like, "I don't know why the fuck he's back here in Hawaii, but he's not supposed to be." And that parole violation right there was supposed to be it. You fucked up on that, you're gone forever. They released him. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So he's a free man now?
Free man, you know? And that is,
God bless America.
God bless America, you know? That's one of the situations at which I wish Hawaii prison system had the same politics as California's prison system, you know? Because if he would have walked into California with that charge, he wouldn't have been able to serve those 9 years.
Because he'd be dead.
Yeah, he would have fucking killed him, you know? So anyways, I mean, you want me to move past that, keep going, telling you what's going on? Or?
Yeah, what's going on? What happened to your eye?
So with that, I was walking at, so we got one big mall on our island, and I was walking in the mall with my girlfriend, just a normal day, broad daylight, you know, spending time with my first girlfriend that I've ever had. I believe this is freshman year, freshman year, and I'm walking with her, holding her hand, and out of nowhere, I realize that I'm on the ground. My face is fucking hurting. I can't see out of my eye. My girlfriend's fucking screaming and crying. I see that there's blood all over the place. And come to find out, somebody from the rival gang of where my father is from wanted to get his hands on my father and couldn't. And ended up seeing me at the mall and fucking stabbed me in my face from behind. I believe he was 34 years old at the time. Yeah. So I got rushed to the hospital. They fucking did their best to like bandage up everything to stop the bleeding because I was bleeding profusely. And I got medevac to Queen Kapiolani, that's on Oahu, the main hospital. And they had to take out my eye. They had to cauterize some arteries that got, you know, punctured and shit like that. And I mean, long story short, that guy ended up getting arrested that same very day. He wasn't able to run. And my father ended up crossing paths with him in prison and killing him. You know? It was just a really fucked up situation on me getting, like, how do I put it? Getting caught in crossfire.
Because you were like 14?
I was 14 years old. I was a fucking kid.
Freshman.
And I wasn't even into, like, gangbanging and shit at that time. I was still just, like, a normal kid. You know, at that age, like, I was racing motocross. Almost came professional when I was around, like, 17. Got sponsored by Troy Lee Designs himself personally. Came out to Maui, flew my family all around to race and shit. So I was a good kid, you know?
Until you lost your eye.
I lost my eye, and that made it very hard, man. Made it very hard because I started getting fucking bullied in school.
You couldn't do motocross.
I couldn't do motocross. I lost my depth perception. I could barely, I had to relearn how to walk. I had to relearn, like, everything. It was so fucking hard, man. It was really hard, you know? My mom was devastated. She was devastated and she was pissed too at the same time, you know? And she felt like it was her fault because, you know, not only did I not deserve that, but she felt like because that's who my dad was, she felt kind of guilty, you know, because, like, she should have protected me from that type of situation, but there's nothing that she could have done, you know? We didn't know that there was some sort of bullshit going on with him and people wanted to kill him. Like, I never kept in contact with my father while he was locked up, you know? So, yeah, I mean, my dad ended up getting paroled out. I mean, not paroled, my bad. My dad ended up maxing out when I turned 19. So right before I turned 19, my dad ended up maxing out. By the age of 19, I'm in rehab for the first time. I entered rehab at 18 years old. I was homeless on the island. I had a problem with smoking crystal meth. And, yeah, I was heading down a really bad path really fast. I was smoking oxys. That's when the oxy 30s, you know, that whole epidemic hit and the painkillers was coming out. This is in 2012. And I got put on probation for my first charge, which was assault of a family household member. I got into a fight with somebody from my family at home. And I couldn't stop smoking dope. So I had to go to rehab because my probation officer was going to violate me. I went to rehab. My dad paroled out. You know, my mom thought it would be a good idea for my birthday, my 19th birthday, to bring him up to the rehab, you know, to see me and stuff like that. Help, like, not help, but celebrate it with me, you know? So I seen my dad for the first time, especially as a man, you know? I only seen him over, like, video screens that the church would do back then when we would do calls to prison and shit. And I remember specifically this day because he was walking down from the parking lot to where I was sitting on the table where they did visitations at this rehab. It's called Aloha House. And he had his arm around my mom. And, you know, I hugged him and stuff like that, and we greeted each other, and we sat down, and I told him, look, Dad, I just got to tell you straight up, I'm not okay with you putting your arm around my mom. Don't ever think that you guys are going to get together because that's not going to happen. And right there, the whole situation flipped. He looked at me in my face, and he said, you think you can disrespect me like that just because you're my son? He said, tonight I'm going to come back, and I'm going to put a fucking bullet in your head. And he walked away. So the beginning of my relationship with my father was not good at all, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. Not good at all. Is it cool if I hit this?
Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
That was what age? That was
18 turning 19.
And you are how old now?
Huh?
How old are you now?
I'm 18. Oh, right now I'm 30. I just turned 30 in September last year.
You came to California when?
I came to California when I was 20, turning 21. And I've been kind of stuck out here ever since. I came out here to try and get away from the island, get away from the relationships that I had out there because they were very toxic, and the drug use, you know. While coming out here and doing that, I ended up making friends in treatment who are from California, who could get their hands on drugs that were way stronger for way cheaper. Everything's so expensive back home on the islands, you know. And I got introduced to black tar heroin. Within 2 years of me being up here in the mainland, I got introduced to the needle. I started shooting up heroin and crystal meth. And, you know, I want to say that honestly, fear has kept me sober for a long time when I first came up here because I didn't know where the fuck I was. You know, I'm just a kid from Hawaii on an island. And what we know of California is Compton, Eazy-E, fucking shoot you for the wrong shirt color, you know? That's what I honestly thought it was. So I was really scared of being homeless, you know, fucking up and them kicking me out of a rehab. And that's what kept me sober for a while. And I ended up meeting a girl out here from Inglewood, and she's a local, you know, and we got together in rehab, started dating, and, you know, she had family, she had connects out here, and she was also normal to the motel hopping and shit like that. So I got used to being homeless out here. And to be honest, that's the reason why I'm so desensitized to telling my sister's story. Because I've been to rehab so much times that, you know, when I meet a new therapist and they ask you about your trauma and shit like that, I have to tell it over and over again, you know? And, yeah, my addiction's just been a progressive fucking hell, man. It's been a progressive hell. I've had some success, I'm not gonna lie, you know? I did personal training Oceanside, I was making good money, put together some good amount of sober time, but I don't know what it is, man. I feel like something's missing that keeps taking me back out, you know?
And you're still using today?
I'm still using today. I have a very bad addiction to fentanyl. Fentanyl is my number one drug of choice. I also have a very bad addiction to crack cocaine. I smoke meth when it's around. I don't buy it because, you know, everybody's smoking it. So,
But the uppers are something that a lot of fentanyl addicts will use just to kind of keep them awake?
I do uppers specifically so I can do more fentanyl.
Right.
When fentanyl first really hit the scene and was big in 2019, they had stuff that was coming out here in California that you take one hit and you fucking die, you know? And that's when I got addicted to it. It's either my tolerance or the strength is nowhere the same as it was before. But yeah, that's primarily why I do uppers. And honestly too, I got really bad into smoking crack and shit like that because when I was homeless out here, I was scared to go to sleep at night, you know? Had a couple of bad situations where I fell asleep. I was homeless under Venice and Sepulveda, that bridge right there. I was homeless under there for a while. That was my first spot being homeless in LA because most of my time in California has been in Orange County. And being homeless out there, I learned the hard way that you cannot fucking fall asleep around people that are in the streets in Los Angeles, anywhere, you know? That's where I started getting addicted to my uppers. Yeah. How I had told you I knew somebody that you did an interview with. The reason why I know that person is because they're very active in helping drug addicts get sober and stuff like that.
Pretty.
Yeah, pretty, yeah. And the reason why I brought him up is because I just crossed paths with him. You know, I crossed paths with him a long time ago. I just recently crossed paths with him this holidays, and I got to meet him, his kids, his old lady, and man, like, I don't know what it is about that man. We don't have very long conversations, but everything he says has a very big impact. Like, you can tell if he knows you're serious about changing your life, he'll do everything he can to help you do it, you know?
Yeah, I've seen Pretty do some amazing things. He's really solid.
Yeah, he's an awesome man. And that's why I was saying hopefully tonight I'll be able to see him because, I'm trying to get into rehab today.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I've been making calls and stuff. I was with that guy Ponytail who connected me with you, and he was letting me use his phone. I'm gonna go back over there and finish the phone calls and stuff like that. But I already made the initial contact. By the grace of God, it happening, I'll be able to be back in that little sobriety family that they got going on, and try again.
Good for you.
Can't give up, man.
No, you're still young.
Yeah. I will say that being a chronic relapser, I've lost hope and faith over time. But I feel like the most frustrating part is the fact that I give in to my cravings when I know that I can get past it because I've done it before. And I know that there's so much more on the other side that I can do, that I want to do. I want to work with kids and shit. And I just give in every time I want to get high. I'm like, fuck it, I have a hard time dealing with emotions as a man, and that's just how I've coped with everything. Drugs. Yeah.
How's your mom doing?
My mom's doing good, honestly.
She's back in Maui?
Back in the islands, yeah.
You're
So
from Maui,
yeah, from Maui, yeah.
and your mom is still there?
Yep.
Yep.
I have a mom, a little brother who's 16. Great kid, man. AP classes, about to graduate junior year, looking to go to college out here in Nevada. Like, amazing kid, man. And I have my grandmother left in my family.
The drugs are bad in Maui?
Drugs are horrible out there. The meth is pretty much free. And it's very strong because the Filipinos make the shit out there. And the fentanyl is $500 a gram. So if you get addicted to fentanyl, which I have like a gram and a half a day habit, you get addicted to fentanyl out there. I mean, it takes 2 weeks max, and you're already at the point of fucking stealing from people, robbing stores, because nobody can really keep up with a fucking $500 a day habit as a drug addict with no job, So, yeah. But mom's all right. She's always been holding it together. She works 2 full-time jobs. And, the house that she owns it completely to herself. I had a stepdad in my life, and he was in my life for about 23 years, and my mom ended up getting a divorce to him, my brother's dad. And in the divorce, she didn't want half of everything. She said, "Leave me the house, and I'll pay for the mortgage my own." So she's fucking working herself to death, and she has MS, but she's killing it, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bryson, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
The most important lesson that I've learned in my life is, oh man, I'm gonna have to say at the end of the day, you're by yourself, and you have to face your problems alone. Even having family support and stuff like that, to overcome problems and stuff like that. This is just my experience. I had to muster up enough strength to, trudge through the problems that I have made it through, because I can honestly say that I have been enabled as an addict's son, and the enabling has stunted my growth and has kept me sick all this time. It's been 12 years of homelessness and addiction. 12 years. Yeah.
All right. Bryson,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me do this. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I wish you lots of luck with Pretty.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Right on, brother.
Thanks, man. Even though Soft White Underbelly consists of a lot of videos, it's really still a photography project to me. And if you appreciate the photography, sometimes it's difficult to enjoy it when it's scrolling down the screen, which is the only option I had in this horizontal format on YouTube. So last year we came out with the first Soft White Underbelly book, which is a collection of the best portraits from the thousands of interviews I've done. Each portrait in this book is accompanied by an interesting quote from the person's interview.
Oh my God.
There's more.
Wow. These aren't as bad as I thought. I look like a witch.
I will not be reprinting this book when it sells out. So once it's gone for good. You can order yours at softwhiteunderbelly.org. $125, $150 for a signed copy. And thank you for watching.